Welcome to another provider preview. I'm Julie Hatfield-Still, president of Beyond the Game Alliance. We're a nonprofit organization that holistically and proactively educates and supports student athletes in preparing for their game, but also life beyond the game. I am so honored to have sports psychologist, author, and educator, entrepreneur, Dr. Haley Perlus in the room with me today as a key provider. Welcome, Haley.
Thanks, Julie. I love how you introduced yourself as still president.
It really works. I'm Julie Hatfield still, and then still president. Right?
That's right. That's right. I did.
Yes, yes. Let me tell you though, signing that whole name out makes me wonder why I hyphenated. Well, I'm so excited to have you in the room with us today. Our providers are so integral to the student athletes that we work with in both up-leveling their game in the game, but also life way after sport. With that said, Coach Haley is going to be providing opportunities for our students to bridge and work on their mental agility and their inner game, which is so important in this day and age. So, Dr. Perlus, just thrilled to have you. Would love for you to just share a little bit with our audience about your background in athletics and what's led you to this space of working on the mental game with athletes.
Absolutely. And I can answer both those questions in one story. So I grew up in Canada and I was a ski racer. That was my sport. I played many sports, or I participated in many sports, but that was the one that I chose to compete in. And when I was 12 years old, I was competing in the Juvenile World Championships. And I'm just about to race. And my coach pulls out $100 Canadian bill, places it in front of my nose, and tells me that he bet on me to win this world championship. And in that moment, I now know, having a sports psychology degree, I now know that I was in an emotional and a mental fork in the road. And this is something you and I are, and every member of Beyond the Game Alliance experiences every single day. On one hand, I could feel frustration, anger, worry. Why would my coach bet on me? What if he's wrong? What if I make a mistake? On the other hand, wait a second, if my coach is betting on me, could that mean he believes in me? Yes. And if he believes in me, why shouldn't I believe in myself? So for whatever reason, at 12 years old, I chose to think that way. If my coach has high expectations, doesn't that mean I'm doing something right? I went down that course. I did win, which was great. My coach came down, congratulated me, kept the money for himself. But he said to me something that basically gave me my career. He said, "It's amazing what your performance can be like when you get your head straight." And then 2 weeks later, he brought a sports psychologist to come and speak to my team. And I went home at 12 years old and I told my parents that this is what I want to do when I grow up. So it's a really cool story. And I would not advise coaches to bet on their athletes, but he knew me and he knew my inner voice and he knew what motivated me and he knew how to instill confidence, and it worked. And so that's what I want to help athletes and coaches, but more importantly, athletes learn that about themselves, learn how to create an inner environment so that their bodies can do what they've been training them to do.
I love that. And I love that story because it's such, I mean, truly a fork in the road. And we do face those as athletes every single day. So, Haley, I know not only do you work with athletes, you work with entrepreneurs, you work in the corporate space. Share a little bit just about your well-rounded experience in this space and how it's helped you serve athletes even better.
Mhm. Initially, I always thought that I would just work with athletes, marry a quarterback. I had this daydream, and just stay in the world of sports. But as I was going through university, as I was going through college, and then getting my master's and my PhD and starting my own business and going through all my personal experiences as an adult, quickly realized that sports psychology is not just in sports. Mental toughness, resilience, energy management, all of these techniques and tactics can be applied to my life outside of sports. And then I found a sports psychologist who became a mentor of mine who was expanding into the corporate world. So I followed his lead and I did the same. So, yes, my practice involves consultations one-on-one with athletes, with coaches, and with executives in business. And then I also deliver trainings and keynotes in the corporate sector as well as in sport. And I don't do it currently, but I was also an adjunct lecturer at the University of Colorado.
I think it's so important to mention because, Haley, quite literally, our purpose here at the Alliance is to support athletes in becoming the best version in the society that comes next, right? Whether that's entrepreneur, whether that is corporate leader. So many of our athletes go into leadership positions, and you having the foresight of everything that's coming for them, and I think it's just such an incredible value to the Alliance. So we know why we said yes to Dr. Haley Perlus. Between, just your wealth of experience, how you just understand the athlete mind, how you yourself are still an athlete, so important to us to draw that alignment. But for you, why was it important for you to get in the game with us?
For so many reasons, but I'm going to highlight one. I know being involved in businesses and corporations that when they are looking for new employees, when they find an employee that was an athlete or that is an athlete, for them it's like, oh my goodness, they're going to be determined and disciplined, and they're going to bring all of this tools and skills that they've learned as an athlete, and we want them. So I understand that athletes have this quality. They just do. Athletes have this, they develop character through sport, which is wonderful. And that on the outside is definitely what the appearance is. But I also know that inside, sometimes athletes are struggling. Sometimes these athletes are going through some turmoil. Sometimes they're having challenges, and they don't always feel comfortable speaking out to parents, to coaches, to employers if they're transitioning out. Sometimes they don't always have the skills, even though on the outside we think they have the skills. Sometimes they don't necessarily have them, or even the words or even the idea to really understand what they're experiencing. And so I want to be that piece. I want to help them really help them understand what they're going through, and help them put the pieces together so that they do have the confidence, they do have the focus, they do have the motivation that everyone thinks they have, right? I want them to really own it for themselves so that in their sport and then beyond, they can take all of the tools and achieve their dreams in sport and beyond.
Mm, so good. Let's dig a little bit into some of those current challenges that you see with student athletes. I know you alluded to just kind of that confidence piece, that almost that certainty piece, like the knowing of who they are. What are you seeing right now as some of those biggest hurdles that you're witnessing with our student athletes in high school as well as in the collegiate space?
Sure. Couple of things. One is anxiety. That's not necessarily new, but it is on the rise for many reasons. We live in an anxiety producing world. We live in an anxiety stimulating environment. So for athletes, it's really giving them empowering athletes to tune out certain noises, to prioritize, to understand what they want, and it may not necessarily be what their high school is doing, with regards to, obviously social media is a common one. So it's really helping athletes lower their anxiety levels by having some discernment, by being able to make choices for themselves. So that's one anxiety piece. Obviously, recovering from injury is a big one. We're putting more pressure on ourselves. We're putting more pressure on our bodies. So just understanding all the factors that go into injury mentally and how to best recover. Unshakable confidence is something that I want to help all athletes have. So shakable confidence is having confidence that is completely dependent on the results.
Mm.
And to me, that's a yo-yo and a roller coaster that we do not have to be living on. So I like to help athletes develop shakable confidence, the kind that does not come and go with the results. Of course, results matter, but it's really about maintaining a level of confidence no matter what the results say. And then the final piece that I really look forward to is helping athletes discover their purpose. So burnout is a big topic, and that's not just in sport, that's also outside of sport. And one of the main reasons we experience burnout is, if we look at motivation, we have two types of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic. I call extrinsic the trophy. Whatever that trophy is, I want to qualify, high school, maybe you're looking to qualify for certain championship, or you want to get on the college team, or you want to be number one. So the trophy, the outcome, the result. And then there's heart. And heart is feeling that you belong. Heart is feeling that you have choice, responsibility. Heart is feeling that you are competent. And burnout happens when we lose heart and we're just so focused on the trophy. Now, I like the trophy. I like my trophy, but I want to help athletes have a balance between heart and trophy so that they maintain their purpose, they have unshakable confidence, they continue to have their drive and desire, and then they perform as best they can in sport. And then when it comes time, because it always will come time at some point, beyond.
Yeah, it's what I hear in that is it's the both and. You can have both. You can have both. So if we have some athletes watching in right now, or parents or athletic directors, What are some signs and symptoms that maybe they need Coach Haley in their life, that they might need to seek a little bit more, maybe coaching or counsel around what's going on internally? Any things that they should be looking out for?
Yes, but you have to know, this is where it's really important for coaches and parents. You have to know these athletes. One size does not fit all. So, for example, I'll use myself. Not every athlete is going to respond the way I did to my coach's bet on me. So you really have to know that athlete. And then the best signs are seeing a little bit of a change. So an athlete that talks a lot, maybe this athlete is now silent. Maybe this athlete goes quiet, goes dark. If there's a lot of negativity, sometimes negativity, and I don't want to do that, and I'm thinking of quitting. Sometimes they don't really want to leave. They don't really want that, but they're protecting themselves from some level of insecurity. And usually it's because they feel a lot of pressure and they don't know how to deal with that pressure. So they'd rather their instinct is to walk away. So if an athlete is quite negative, it's usually because they're afraid of something. So we look out for negative self-talk. Those types of things. If athletes are starting to just change certain behaviors, they start showing up late, or they start leaving early with excuses, or they start, focusing on pains where, some pain is real, some are not, some is dysfunctional, some is functional. So we just have to really know our athletes and then tune in to any types of shifts there.
Yeah. I think as athletes too, we have to be able to recognize, especially as collegiate athletes, right? When we start getting a little bit older and moving into the career space, that self-awareness of some of these behaviors for me are changing. Or maybe you're feeling a little burnt out, or something's bothering you now, right? Maybe you had a misstep or an error that never would have bothered you before, right? Some of those changes are great indicators that, hey, let's get you some coaching. Let's get you in the room with Coach Haley with her expertise and help you shift and move through that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well,
And ask
Dr. Haley,
questions.
yeah,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
I was going to say, just ask questions. And athletes may not answer them at the beginning because they don't know, wait a second, you're asking me a question. You're the coach, or, you're the one but if you continue to ask questions, they'll start to, wait a second, they do want to hear, and they'll start speaking up, and then you listen, and then you'll notice, you know it. You know your athletes, this. You just have to be in tune to it.
Yeah, be in tune to it. I love that. Well, Coach Haley, any last words before we wrap up today for maybe the parents, coaches, or even the athletes that are tuning in with us today about, just mental agility, being able to shift? Any profound last words?
I mean, we really have two options. We can gain this mental toughness through experience, trial and error, or we can actually learn the skills up front and then take advantage of the opportunities without having to go through all of those, trials and tribulations to just naturally and organically figure it out, which can take years. So let's just do this now. And, Julie, you have created a platform that one of the reasons why I'm passionate about Beyond the Game Alliance is because you've created a holistic platform. And it does not mean that every athlete has to go through every single, type of training, but you have basically given us all a menu, given athletes a menu, and we can, start going through that list and chewing off, the things that will help us immediately, and then get motivated to learn more. So I just thank you for creating this opportunity for providers to help and for athletes to receive the help.
You are welcome. And thank you right back, Dr. Haley Perlus. Thank you for joining us today. Our mission here at the Alliance is truly to support these athletes in their game and beyond. And we all know how important it is to help them from the inside out and in a holistic, proactive way. Since we are a nonprofit, we invite you to join our mission to help fund all of these incredible resources, just like Dr. Haley Perlus. If you're an athletic director, leader, coach, or parent of student athletes in the junior year in high school, so pretty much varsity level and above, all the way through college, you can become an aligned partner and allow us to fully service your student athletes. You can also become an aligned provider, just like Dr. Haley Perlus, if you have a special skill set that these athletes need and you yourself speak athlete, which is really important to us. You can become a corporate sponsor as well if you are a business owner who has a heart for these athletes and you just want to be a part of the mission to serve them. You can learn more about all of our ways to give at beyondthegamealliance.org. And if you want to stay in the loop, remember, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Coach Haley, always a pleasure and honor to be in the room with you. We will see you in a Zoom room soon.
Looking forward to it.